and Muslims force sick act on their neighbors. There has been massive backlash over the recent killing of an Australian woman who was shot outside her home in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She had called 911 believing a woman was being sexually assaulted in her alleyway, and she ended up being killed by the police in an officer-involved shooting. The kicker was that the police officer who killed her was Muslim and Somali. Someone has reported to the police they were an eyewitness to the crime as they had been biking by. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety Bureau of Criminal Apprehension reported this in a press release on Friday. They told reporters the following. The individual has been cooperative and provided an interview today. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is involved because the Minneapolis Police Department has asked them to do an independent investigation into the death of this woman. The victim was 40-year-old Justine Ruzicek, who was killed on July 15 by police officers Matthew Harity and Mohammed Noor. It was Noor who shot the lethal blow that killed her. Harity had driven the squad car to the scene of the crime while Noor had remained in the passenger side seat. Law enforcement authorities indicated Harity had heard the loud noise when the victim began to approach the car. It was Harity whom she was approaching. As she approached the car, Noor shot at her through the driver's side window, which was open. She likely was running to explain to them everything that was going on. They assisted her medically until the paramedics arrived, but it was too late because she died on the street. The investigation into her death has continued and her death has been labeled a homicide. Both officers have been placed on standard paid administrative leave while the investigation continues. The use of force is one of the primary components of this crime being investigated. ABC reported the following about the entire ordeal. Ruzicek, a 40-year-old Australian native, called 911 on the night of July 15 to report what she believed was a sexual assault occurring near her home in Minneapolis' Fulton neighborhood. Two officers from the Minneapolis Police Department, identified by authorities as Matthew Harity and Mohammed Noor, responded to Ruzicek's call. Harity was driving the squad car, while Noor was in the passenger seat, according to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. As they neared Ruzicek's home, Harity indicated that he was startled by a loud sound near the car, after which Ruzicek immediately approached the driver's side, authorities said. Noor then fired his weapon, striking Ruzicek through the driver's side window, which was open. The officers provided medical assistance to Ruzicek until medics arrived, but she was pronounced dead at the scene, according to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office has confirmed that Ruzicek died of a single gunshot wound to her abdomen. Both officers have been placed on standard paid administrative leave pending the investigation. Ruzicek's death has been ruled a homicide. The Minneapolis Police Department has launched an internal affairs review of the officers' use of force. Harity's attorney, Fred Bruno, told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that it was certainly reasonable for the police officers to assume they could be the target of an ambush. Noor has not provided any statements regarding the incident and has declined to be interviewed by the Minnesota Department of Public Safety Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the agency said. Noor's attorney has not provided an update on when, if ever, an interview would be possible. The agency said it cannot by law compel the officer to give a testimony. On Friday, the city's police chief, Janie Harta, resigned after Minneapolis Mayor Betsy Hodges said she lost confidence in the chief's ability to lead. Hodges also announced she has nominated Assistant Chief Medaria Rondo Rinto to lead the police department. Ruzicek, who went by her fiancé's last name, Damon, was a yoga instructor, a personal health and life coach and a meditation teacher, embracing and teaching the neuroscientific benefits of meditation, according to her personal website. The victim's family released a statement to the Australian Embassy to American officials about their family member's death, saying, "We are in constant contact with the Australian government, and representatives of the U.S. government and Minnesota state authorities. We want to see the investigation come to a conclusion, as soon as possible, so we have some resolution to the tragedy." Given the contentious environment in our country right now concerning race relations and law enforcement, it is absolutely appalling that the mainstream liberal media refused to report the officer in this case who killed an innocent victim was a Somali Muslim American. Which goes to show these unintended deaths have nothing to do with race but something else. Despite liberals trying to perpetuate a narrative that only African American people are targeted by police officers. Whatever that is still remains to be seen, we might never know. What is even more appalling is that just 1 week after this woman was killed, a large number of Muslim Americans in Brooklyn, New York publicly prayed and chanted in the streets, clogging up traffic. As if there was something to celebrate. The tone deafness is absolutely astounding. They should have had more respect and at least waited a longer amount of time after this woman died. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.